Hi, I'm Nino Gonzalez, and welcome to another episode of Making Sense. Well, we're starting off a brand new school year here at El Paso Community College, and as we start new things, sometimes we want to redevelop ourselves. So I brought in somebody who is going to talk to us about maybe having a healthier lifestyle and being a little bit more green and how that can help our pocketbook. So my guest today is Claudia Rodriguez, and Claudia, thank you very much for coming on the show. I know you were a guest in another show that we do here at the college, and I wanted just to expand a little bit more on the topics that you have to discuss. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you for having me. I am passionate about health. I've been in the health and wellness industry for a little bit over 8 years, and a few years ago I became certified as a health and nutrition advisor.
Oh, wow.
And so I help people. Sometimes I do workshops, sometimes I do one-on-one coaching, and I just help people get to their health goals. Weight loss, have more energy, be able to concentrate, be able to do physical activity that maybe we're limited because we're injured. So anything that can help people improve their health.
Okay, and tell me, how can being healthy help us in saving money?
Something that I found in my health journey is that everything that benefited me ended up benefiting my finances, and it also benefited the environment.
Okay.
And so now I see it as a combo. And people have this myth that to be healthy, you need a lot of money.
Okay.
And I don't think that's necessarily true.
But I also think that if you're unhealthy and you're on a lot of medications, you know, to control maybe your blood pressure or your diabetes or any type of those ailments that can be prevented, that you're probably going to be spending more money on doctor's visits and prescriptions.
Absolutely. So it's not only about the money that we save now, but it's also going to be the money that we're going to be saving in the long run. So if we do little things like make our sleep our priority, exercise, take a high quality supplement, those things will prevent us and save us money in the long run, because we won't be taking medications, because we'll be able to do the activities that we want without needing help or assistance because we physically can't.
Right. So tell me a little bit about some of the things that you have found that have worked for you and the people that you have consulted with.
One of the things that I try to do is, before I even recommend something, is to try it myself.
Okay.
Because that way I can know the challenges and what to do with those challenges. So the first thing that I encourage people to try, which is something very simple, is to change bottled water to taking your own cup everywhere you go. So I have about 4 or 5 of these, and I take them everywhere, even to restaurants. I just tell them if they can refill my bottle at a restaurant. And what I do is, instead of buying bottled water, I just refill my 5-gallon water bottle with reverse osmosis water, which you can get at almost any store.
Like for maybe what, 50 cents or something like that,
Yeah.
or $1.
Yeah,
Right.
so you end up saving money, but you're not contaminating the environment, because bottles actually stay in our environment for over 400 years. And so that's the environment.
And then a lot of people don't recycle those, though they don't put them in the recycling bin, and they wind up in our landfills, correct?
Correct. And not only that, but sometimes even if you do recycle them, though, that plastic is going to turn into something else that can't be recycled.
Oh, wow.
So it still ends up in our landfill. So for the environment, just avoid using bottled waters. And also for us, because plastics, they actually get, when they're exposed to temperatures, like if it's a little bit hot or if it's a little bit
Right.
cold, they end up filtering into the water. And that plastic mimics some of our hormones. And so instead of having healthy hormones, we have plastic roaming in our body, and that is very unhealthy.
That's why they suggest that don't leave bottled water. If you have bottled water, don't leave it in the car, because the heat will transform that plastic.
Yes.
And not only that, a lot of people don't know that a lot of plastics are actually made of petroleum, which is oil based. And so we're also helping in that in hoping that that fossil fuel will go a little bit longer, oil.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I said. So I do something that's good for me, right? I try to drink from stainless steel or glass. It helps the environment, and I end up saving money.
Okay.
But I always suggest that the motivator be to be healthier, because if that is our mindset and that's the motivator, the saving money will be a great side effect.
Okay.
But not let it be our only motivator.
Right. And so how much do you think you've saved in buying cases of bottled water as going through, doing it on your own and refilling your refillable container?
Okay, so I don't know the amount right now, but I'll tell you. So the 5 gallon is about less than $3, so let's say $2.50
Okay.
for the 5 gallons. Versus when I used to buy bottled water, the case of 24 bottles was about $4.
Yeah, depending on the brand.
Right, depending on the brand. So maybe $1.50 every week
Wow.
would be, and not only that, but also the health benefit. So that is probably more intangible, but it's still there. So I'm getting higher quality for a lower price.
Okay. And what other things have you noticed, especially you had mentioned about cleaning products, correct?
Yes. So a lot of the things that we're exposed to is just pure marketing. So we think that we need something to clean the bathroom and something to clean the floor and something to clean the window and the countertops and everything in our home. When in reality, we can limit and eliminate most of those products that end up being very expensive. And I'll tell you why. Not only because we're buying one product for different things, but also because those chemicals and that beautiful smell that they have, it's damaging to our body. So if it's exposed to our skin or if we smell it, that ends up in our body, and it's just an added load to our liver, which already has a lot of functions.
And also, it's amazing to see on the directions on using those products how you have to wear gloves and it has to be a well ventilated area and all of this.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you use them or if you've used them, you're inhaling those fumes, and some of those can get to your system pretty quickly or make your eyes water, and that's all entering into your system, as you said.
Exactly. And so I suggest just what I do is I've replaced, I think, all of them except the one that I used to clean my wood floors.
Okay.
So I've replaced like the bathroom cleaners and the mirror cleaners and the countertop cleaners and everything with vinegar.
Okay.
So it could be apple cider vinegar or it could be white vinegar. And I just mix half part vinegar, half part water. And if I want a nice smell, I just add, as I have here, a little bit of essential oils, and I just put it in a little plastic bottle like this. And I can use it to clean countertops, the bathroom, the tub. Even I stained my carpet recently, and I could really smell it. And so I just used that, and it really takes care of it. And vinegar is a natural disinfectant, and so it's going to kill that bacteria that we're so afraid of. But it's also going to give us, it's not going to be toxic for our body, and it really has the same benefit or even better.
Right, and not only that, it's, you mentioned the antibacterial properties, but it's also an antifungal.
Exactly.
So it also eliminates fungus. But what if you need, a little bit more abrasive? And I know that I've heard the use of baking soda as well.
Yes, so if you have rough stains, or I'll give you a little recipe for when the drain clogs.
Right.
So just take really, really hot water with some baking soda, and then put it in, and then get somebody else to help you and put vinegar, white vinegar, and what it's going to do is it's going to
foam.
It's going to foam, and it's the best thing I've ever done for that. I've bought really expensive products that don't work as well as that.
Wow, and so that helps clean out the drains. And I guess if you do that, maybe on, every 3 months or so, it also keeps the drains clean, correct? Just as a preventive maintenance.
Right, and also to think that maybe we don't see where that goes, but it ends up somewhere.
Right.
And if it's a product that is very toxic, it's going to end up harming animals and our environment and maybe other people.
Well, that's what and I've talked this on the show before, but on my floors I have laminate flooring, and I use vinegar and water, and it cleans them really well. And I put a drop or two of maybe tea tree oil because I like the scent, and it leaves them smelling really nice.
Yeah, it smells, yeah, I use citrus just because that's my
Right.
favorite smell. And yeah, it really makes everything smell very nice.
And you know what I also use the apple cider vinegar for is sometimes for my hair. You know, I put it on because sometimes I, have flaking or I itch, and it takes it away right away because it's antifungal.
Right.
And so just leave it there, and then get in the shower and rinse it off, and with regular shampoo, and it goes away.
Good tip.
So my son always says, you smell like Long John Silver's because of the malt vinegar that they use. So that's what it reminds him of. But let's talk about this. What is this that you brought in?
Another thing that I suggest is that we get rid of the plastic bags.
Right.
So the only reason I would buy something that is made of plastic is if I can reuse it as much as possible, like this bottle,
Sure.
right? I'm going to reuse it for years. But if not, I'm going to use glass.
Okay.
So so this is my snack for today.
Okay.
So it's actually 2 snacks in here. And I have a little bit of granola, some almonds, and some dried fruit.
Right.
And I take it with me everywhere I go. And so this saves money in buying all of those plastic
Little
bags.
packages.
Yeah.
Right. And also, in addition to that, I bet you're probably buying that in bulk, correct? And before, and you mix it?
This one, I made it myself.
Right.
But usually I do
No,
buy
but the individual ingredients, do you buy like the almonds and the dried fruit, do you buy those in sort of a little bit bigger packages and then mix them on your own?
Most of the time, yes. Okay. This one in particular, I bought the separate ingredients and I was like, I don't have a snack for today, so I just mixed and
put
matched.
them all together.
But usually I do buy like a lot of almonds.
And you get a healthy alternative, and if you need something to snack on, that will probably keep you full instead of going to the vending machine and buying something that's not healthy, correct?
Exactly, because we know that we usually get hungry between meals, but we don't usually prepare for that. So, and snacking is great. That is, people that say, I want to lose weight, I say one of the first things you need to do is to start snacking, because snacking is going to prevent us from overeating. It's going to help keep our blood sugar stable. And if I prepare with a healthy snack, I won't be reaching for the chips and for the cookies.
Or the donuts.
Or the donuts, which just make me spend more money at the end of the day and
Okay.
are unhealthy.
Well, we'll come back and discuss some more healthy techniques to help you save money on the next segment of Making Sense. So stay tuned. Welcome to the second half of Making Sense, and we were talking about getting healthy and maybe being a little bit more green and putting more money into our pockets. And you had brought these things in, and you said it's better to use glass than plastic, and I do agree with that. As a matter of fact, at home I don't drink anything except if it's glass. I prefer the taste better of a beverage if it's coming from a glass instead of a plastic tumbler.
That's right. Yeah, and I try to avoid plastic in many areas of my life because of the environmental benefits and the health benefits.
Right.
And so if we're warming up our food, we don't want to do it in
no.
something
Yeah.
that has plastic, because it's going to end up filtered in our food. And so I always suggest, buy Tupperware, put your food in there, and use the tiny ones for your snacks.
Great.
So you don't have to use plastics anywhere.
Right. So let's talk about the other aspect that you do. You said that you help individuals, and whether it's in a group setting or whether it's on a one-on-one basis, and you help individuals try and lead a healthier lifestyle. And I guess one of the things that most people come to you and say is that they want to lose weight, right?
Yes. And it's interesting because I was trying to pay attention to what people wanted from me, right? Because I might want to talk about something, but people might not be interested. And so when I asked, the first thing I got was weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. And so I said, well, if that's what they're going to benefit from, I will gladly talk about it and help people with their weight loss journey.
But you know, one of the things is changing our eating habits, and we have to maybe eat a little bit healthier. And sometimes I hear that when you buy healthier stuff, you wind up spending more. Can we sort of debunk that myth and get your opinion on that?
Sure. I think that where we spend our money matters, right? So I am not a business expert, but just the concept of supply and demand, right? So the more we buy certain things, like I'm just going to give an example, organic products, the more we say with our money, yes,
I want organic.
Yes, we want that. And the less I invest my money in processed food or things that are damaging my health, then there's going to be more opportunity for people that are growing organic to be able to lower their prices. And if you see it here locally, 10 years ago, Sprouts was a tiny little store.
Right.
It was a tiny little store, and now it's a big store, and now we have
another location. Now you've got
2
a Whole
locations,
Foods.
and we have Whole Foods. And so, and why? Because people are asking for it. Right? And it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't mean that you have to shop there, but we can make our choices to put our money where we want to see more of. So people say organic is expensive, and I say buy it.
That's
because
one
of
of
that.
the things that I hear. Organic, oh, it's expensive. So let's say with fruits and vegetables, why wouldn't I want to buy non-organic, just regular? Let's say instead of organic spinach, I get regular spinach.
Okay. So if we see, have you ever noticed when you go to the supermarket and you see the fruits and veggies and they have a little sticker?
Right.
And that little sticker has a number. It's like a 4 or 5 digit number. And so if it starts with a 3 or a 4, it means that it was conventionally grown, which means using
Regular
pesticides.
stuff. Right.
Which is not supposed to be conventional, but that's what they call it. And then if it starts with the number 8, that means it is genetically modified.
Okay.
And then if it has a number 9, it means it's organic.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yes,
My goodness.
most people don't. And so what I suggest is never, ever, ever buy something with the number 8. We don't want genetically
Because that's
modified
been
food.
sort of mutated, right?
Yeah, it's mutated, it doesn't have the nutrients, it is damaging to our cells. And then, so we eliminate that one. And now we have conventionally grown and then organic.
Right.
And it doesn't mean you have to buy everything organic, but make sure that, for example, things that you can peel, like a banana or a pineapple that have like a...
Right, or an orange.
Or an orange. Those you can buy non-organic, the conventionally grown, the ones that start with a 3 or a 4 in the little tag. Why? Because the cover of the fruit will prevent most of the pesticides from going in.
Right.
The ones we do want to buy organic,
Like the spinach.
like apples, like strawberries, are the ones that are going to be completely exposed to the pesticides, and we're going to end up putting that in our mouth,
Right.
which is very dangerous.
Even if you wash them thoroughly?
Yes. Okay. Yes. It's still going to be in there. They're very tiny particles, and they go and they harm our cells. And if our cells are harmed, our organs are going to be harmed. And if our organs are harmed, then we're going to end up getting sick.
Okay. All right. And so how about in areas, and I'm talking about, for example, here in El Paso, there's some areas that you don't find many healthy alternatives in supermarkets. And it's not just in El Paso, it happens, all around the nation, where we're in economically disadvantaged neighborhoods, they don't have access to those healthy options. What would you suggest?
Going back to where we put our money matters. So even if in areas like that, they still have fruits and they still have veggies, and of course they have a lot of access to the cheap but processed food.
Right.
Right. But it's the same as saying, I'm going to put water instead of gas into my car because it's cheaper.
Okay.
Right? So we wouldn't do that because the car is not going to function how it should.
And it's going to ruin it.
It's going to ruin it. So we have no problem doing that for our car, even if gas goes way up. But when it comes to our body, the only one we have, then we do water instead of gas, right? So we don't want to put in something that is cheaper just because it's cheaper. We want to put something in it that will nourish it. So I would suggest avoiding packaged foods. So maybe the cookies and the chips and all of those unhealthy snacks.
And how about those sugary drinks? We won't mention product names, but there's sugary drinks that they pass along as orange juice, and they think it's orange juice, and it's not. Sometimes it says orange drink, or it says citrus drink or whatever, but it's very high in sugar.
We have to be very careful with marketing.
And they make it sound healthy because it says fortified and high vitamin C.
Yeah. So marketing is going to be what's on the label, right? What you see like in the front of the label. But if you turn it around, that's where we see the truth. That's where we see the sugar content. And so I suggest just to start turning those labels around and see what is actually in those products. And sometimes we'll see, let's say, orange juice. Well, orange juice is supposed to have one ingredient, right?
Sure.
And if we turn around those juices, you will find 10 or 20 or sometimes 30 different ingredients. Right. And so that doesn't make sense, right? We want to go back to the basics. Eating healthy is not supposed to be complicated, just going back to the basics. So something practical, because it can be very up in the air. So something practical that I can suggest to people is start by adding raw veggies to one of your meals, maybe your lunch, just that. Another thing, start drinking more water.
Yes. And that's something we all don't do. We don't drink enough water.
Exactly.
And I think if we would drink enough water, that sometimes you might think you're hungry, but you're not hungry, you might just be thirsty.
Definitely. Yeah, we confuse that, and or sometimes we are hungry, and instead of having a snack, we just satisfy it with a bubbly drink that is maybe not healthy for us. So our body communicates with us, but the thing is, are we really listening?
Okay. And let's talk about the benefits of exercise. Some people say, well, I have to join a gym, which is probably not true. And how would you suggest a person start? And so that way, because sometimes when we want to lose weight or exercise or whatever, we all go gung-ho. And then we taper off because we can't maintain that.
Right.
So what are the goals to start and keep it?
I always, when I coach people one-on-one, I try to decipher what works for that person specifically. And so for some people is, I need to go to the gym because it works for me, like it motivates me to take a class, or I can afford it and I need a personal trainer, and that's fine.
Okay.
But I don't do that because I don't feel like I need it.
Right.
So what I do, and what I've seen that works for a lot of people, is just work out at home.
Sure.
And honestly, the 15-minute workout is better than the 1-hour workout that you didn't do.
Right.
Because sometimes we're like, oh, well, I don't have an hour to work out. But we all have 15 minutes.
And that's always one of the things that I hear is time. I don't have the time. But even going outside and going for a walk, right?
So if you have dogs, you have the perfect excuse to go out and walk.
Sure.
So I walk my dogs. I have 2 dogs. So I walk my dogs, and then I also work out and do some resistance at home, and it saves me time from actually having to go to the gym. Yeah. And so I can just wake up, exercise, and then start my day.
And a lot of people say, well, it's best to exercise in the morning or, at night or what? How do you work that into a person's schedule, especially when you've got, somebody who has kids and they're working and they might be going to school?
Right. I think that if you do it with somebody else, it's always best.
Right.
So if you can make it a family activity, maybe going to the park or maybe planning something on the weekend where, you know, El Paso has more and more events, and we have a lot of events that are outside, and
Sure.
just take advantage of what our community is offering already. So if you have kids, you know, do it with your kids.
And not only that, you know, a lot of people don't know that even if you go out for a walk and get a change of your mindset, it helps you reduce stress. And a lot of people get stressed out, but they don't know that even just a little walk or a little bit of exercise or stretching is going to alleviate that stress.
Yes. So stress is another one of my big talking points, because we all struggle with stress. And the things that are going to help us get healthier are also going to help us reduce stress.
Right.
Like drinking water, even something so simple, our body is stressed when we don't give it water.
And with stress, you know, of course, comes the with stress produces what, cortisol, which is causes a lot of inflammation within your body. Correct?
Correct. So yeah, we have two stress hormones. One is adrenaline, and when it becomes more chronic, then we start producing cortisol, and that prevents us from losing weight. It prevents us. It causes inflammation. It's not good for our skin.
Sure.
So it's not that cortisol is bad. Cortisol
We need it.
excessively
Yeah.
is what's going to be damaging for us. And just some, you know, walking, as you mentioned, exercising, and just maybe doing some breathing exercises can really help us reduce stress.
Well, so much valuable information, but I want you to tell the public how they can reach you and about your website and about some classes that you offer here within the last 2 minutes of our show.
Sure. Here at EPCC, I'm offering 2 new classes, so I'm trying something new, and easy ways to eat clean and 4 ways to improve children's health.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm offering those in the fall.
And those are through the continuing education
through the
department.
continuing education department.
And they're what, one day classes or one evening, right?
One evening, 2 hours,
Wow.
and people have really liked them. So I'm still here, and I love to do that. People can also find me on Instagram, if people are on Instagram, as Claudia Be Healthy, and on Facebook as Claudia Rodriguez. I post a weekly video with a recipe or
Oh,
some
wow.
health tips. And
Do you have a way to contact you through phone or
Sure.
anything like that? If you want to give that out?
yeah, if they want to contact me, the phone number is 915-321-1286.
Well, thank you very much for this valuable information, and I hope we all take a little bit baby steps to help change our lives and hopefully help us save money by staying healthy and being a little bit green. And Claudia, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
your time, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Making Sense. Have a great day.